Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman from Hire It Done. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to talk everything electrical. I've got Josh from Voltron Power in studio, and we're going to be asking him the tough questions. One of them is, if I got an EV, what charger do I need? How much does it cost? And how much is my electrical going to be impacted? That's one of the topics. Next, generators. Climate change, bad weather, everyone's got all this power they're needing. What kind of generator do I get to my house? Is the best generator the one that's installed properly? We're going to find out next with Josh from Voltron Power. Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman. Welcome to the podcast. Middle of the summer, the heat is on, everyone's sweating, and that means everyone wants air conditioning. They're using a lot of power. On the podcast right now, Josh Young, Voltron Power. Welcome back.
Hey, Adam. Good to be back.
So, Josh, let's get right into the nitty-gritty of everything electrical.
Okay.
Homeowners are using an all-time high amount of power,
Absolutely, yes?
They are. Okay. So, when everyone turns their air conditioning on, there's always a surge from the system.
Yes.
That pops transformers and then creates a cascading effect, I'll call it, and then the power goes out.
Right.
Everyone freaks out. The stress on the local power company, DTE, consumers, has never been greater.
Right.
For years, we've been seeing them cut trees that have been growing over the lines and trying to prevent power outages. And there's also been severe weather, climate change, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
That's been crazy. So you're going to be like, the power goes out and everyone freaks out and then it filters down to you. Tell me right now, what kind of calls are you getting from homeowners?
Well, before I get into that, the power outages, I mean, yes, DTE trimming trees helps for when storms come through and blow branches down. They can take out the overhead lines. But the biggest issue with the grid is the demand on the grid. You know, you've got all the air conditioners going now too, but the biggest draw now are car chargers. Electric car chargers use more power than your entire house uses when they're charging.
Okay, so let me ask.
And so now when everybody gets those turned on, and usually it's at night, most of the time people charge at night, but then in the summer, your air conditioning is automatic.
Right.
So when the temperature in your house goes up, your car is plugged in, and then your air conditioner kicks on, and that happens to thousands of homes across the area, yeah, you're going to get power outages. Okay, and on top of that, when the storms come through.
Let's break it down in simple terms as far as car chargers. So today, the average house has a 150 amp service panel. Would you say
I'd
that?
say the most of them are 100 amp still.
Okay, 100 amp. So 100 amps. On the 100 amps is your electrical, your dishwasher, all the electrical in your house, obviously. Oven, microwave, all those circuits. And then people are always plugging in their iPad, their iPhone, all the electronic devices, the big screen TVs. Even though they don't use a lot of power.
They all add up because there's
adds
so many.
Up.
Yeah.
Now, someone gets all fancy and they say, I want to get a new Tesla. And they want to be able to get the good charger. So 100 amp panel uses, without an electric car right now, the 100 amp panel at any given time is using how many amps? At peak.
It's hard to say. I mean, I would say 30.
Okay, let's say 30. Now you get a Tesla charger. What is that? How many amperage is that?
Well, it depends. There's many different amperages of car chargers.
Let's go right at the one that's the fastest because everyone's in a hurry.
Well, they've got an 80 amp charger, which we have to pull a 100 amp circuit for.
Wow.
And with car chargers, it's not like your stove. If you have a 50 amp circuit to your stove, but you're only using one burner, you might be using 18 amps. When a car charger, regardless of the amperage it takes, it's at full load the entire time.
Does it get hot?
Not really. They're all controlled. They're all engineered and controlled to keep, heat concerns down.
Okay.
But the point is, they're at full load when they're on. So if you have an 80 amp charger, it's freaking pulling 80 amps. You can't even hook one up to a 100 amp service. You have to completely upgrade your electrical service. And that's what happens a lot of times when people get car chargers, is you have to upgrade your electrical service, especially if you only have a 100 amp service.
So in order to charge your new electric vehicle at your home, with the fastest charger, you need an 80 amp charger, but you need it calls for 100 amps.
Right. And that's the more technical, but because when any item, its normal usage is 3 hours or longer. It's considered continuous load. Anytime we install something that's considered continuous load, which is defined by being in normal usage 3 hours or longer, we have to increase the amperage of the circuit by 125%. So 125% of 80 is 100. So you have an 80 80 amp draw, we have to run a 100 amp circuit for it.
So a lot of homeowners who want that are going to have to upgrade their service panel
100%.
to a 200 amp
Definitely.
panel.
Yep.
Okay, so that mystifies it. Now, when you say kilowatt hours, amperages, volts, let's explain that for the listener right now, just so people can see.
That's really technical and it's going to be above most people's heads.
Right.
But basically, to simple it down, your car charger is going to use more power than your house does, your entire house.
When it's charging.
When it's charging, yes.
Okay. And how much, is that a lot of cost?
Well, yes, obviously, but the DTE has special times of day or night when their electrical rate is lower. Right now, the overnight hours has a lower rate.
So you can charge
I imagine now when all these people start plugging in their cars at night, DTE's going to be like, well, damn, we have more usage at night now than during the day, and they're probably going to reverse it.
I think DTE has a program for.
Well, they do, and they'll give you a second meter that you hook your car charger to, and so
you can see
only the electricity that's metered for your car charger is on that separate bill, and they might have a program for a reduced energy cost just for your car charger.
Okay, that's a good point.
And in that case, you wouldn't have to upgrade your entire service because now you have a whole separate meter that comes directly from the service. So if you have a 100 amp panel in your basement and you get a car charger and you have us come out and install a new meter for you and DT comes out and plugs the meter in, and that second meter is just for your car charger, you wouldn't have to upgrade your electrical panel at that point.
Okay, so it comes direct. That makes perfect sense. So if someone's in the marketplace for an EV, you're not against it?
No, not at all. Personally, if I was to get one, I would want a hybrid. I'd want to have a gas tank full, and then if some reason I'm out in Montana in the middle of nowhere, I can flip to my battery and get to the next town.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think a hybrid is probably the right way to go. But sometimes right now there are people who say, you know what, let's do all electric. I only drive, the average commute is 40 miles in a day. The average electric car that I last read was like a 250 mile radius back and forth, or 250 mile range.
And for normal people, just going to work and back or to the grocery store, that would be fine. But it wouldn't really be beneficial to do like a vacation where you're driving hours and hours.
Yeah, I saw they have an app.
Because then you're stopping, trying to find a charging station. You're sitting there for a couple hours to get your charge. And then you've got environmental conditions that impact the life of the battery of your car too. If it's too hot out, you don't get your
full range,
300 mile range, or too cold. Exactly. And then if you're driving and it's hot, then your battery gets hotter. You've seen all those stories where those EV cars catch on fire.
Interesting. You know, I think we're so at the ground floor of EV that it's getting better all the time.
Right, but that's why you can't
caveats.
mandate it to be in effect. It's the technology and the infrastructure is just not there.
Not yet. And we have an old grid, so you combine that with these popularity of new cars. Sounds like disasters down the road.
And that's why we're seeing all these power outages.
On top of
you've got the demand on the electrical grid, the old unreliable electrical grid. The demand on that's higher than it's ever been with EVs.
Okay, so EVs are something that you keep your finger on the pulse for electrical, so people know. So if anyone wants to call Voltron Power, you will be able to say, here's the charger I recommend. I can come and install it.
The chargers, it depends on the car you get. You know, you might get a good deal if you get a Tesla that has a Tesla charger. GM has their own chargers. That's, you know, it's like the difference between a Ford and Chevy. They're both good, you know.
But what if someone has a GM and a Tesla? The family has two different brands. There's a charger that's universal.
Yes. And the GM one, I was just looking at a job yesterday for a GM charger, and the plug configuration will fit in a lot of different EVs, even if it's not a GM model.
I'm surprised they don't have like a universal standard yet.
I'm sure they will, because
of course.
Then you're just eliminating so many cars from being able to be charged.
Speaking of car chargers and electric cars, have you wired a car charger for a house that if the house power goes out and the car is fully charged, they can run the house on the car? You can do that.
That's the system we looked at yesterday through GM. You can set up, and Generac has these too. They're these battery packs that you mount in your basement by your electrical service, by your panel. And you can wire those into your panel so that they're being charged. And if there's a power outage, it'll transfer over and be running. And there's
on the battery,
a transformer and inverter and all that. And so that now your house can be ran on battery power.
Interesting.
They don't last a very long time. They're very expensive for the amount of power you get from them.
peace of mind for a minute. The average power outage is not, it used to be 3-4 hours, and then it became a day. It's never longer than 3 days, but those power cells are probably going to last 8 hours tops.
Well, actually, I don't mean to correct you, but we priced a job out for an 18 kilowatt battery system through Generac, and the duration was, if you use your home normally, 24 hours.
Oh, wow. So you get full day, full 24. And then you can cut everything back to make it lower,
less batteries, less kilowatts, less power available.
Just your refrigerator, nothing else.
Yeah.
Maybe
if you limited your usage, then it would last longer.
Approximately.
It's the same thing. Like if
how
you
many
have
kilowatts?
a battery,
18,000.
The system that we priced out was 18,000 watts.
What size house was that? To approximate.
That was a condo. It was about a 3,000, 2,500 square foot condo.
Can I ask you the price on that?
For almost $40,000. Okay. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it for 24 hours.
So Josh, you just did this condo, 18 kilowatts. It was $32,000 or something like that.
It's like 37 something.
And it only gives the homeowner 24 hours of pure power on everything.
On normal use. You can scale back your usage and it would last you longer. But for that price point.
Seems expensive.
It seems expensive. The issue and the reason why we priced that out is because this particular condo association didn't allow standby generators. Because they have 4 unit buildings and they thought the middle 2 units couldn't get generators if they wanted them. So I went with one of the board members and we looked at these units, and all the gas meters and electrical services were on the same side of the building and they all already ran through. And I told him, I said, we can totally put these in for everybody's and not have to interrupt any drywall or any issues in anybody's condo.
You had the chase.
It's already done. All we have to do is put the transfer switch outside in place of the disconnect. And the gas is already right there, so it's not like you're running gas lines from the opposite side of the building through everybody's unit. It was all right there. It didn't go anywhere.
Anytime you deal with a homeowner association, it's 19 people telling you what to do. Yeah. I understand the chaos with that. Okay, so we understand that if you want a home, if you have an electric vehicle and you need the charger done properly, you're well equipped, well versed. You could handle any car, any make, and also while you're there, add electrical components to the house if they need it. Most namely, generators. It seems like 30 years ago, it was a luxury, maybe even 50 years ago, a luxury to have air conditioning. And then it became
a necessity,
an automatic. Every house came with air conditioning. It became automatic. Today, I always recommend, and you've been with me for many years now, recommending every house should have a generator. Well, the momentum is getting there. The companies like Generac, who lead the way, are completely transforming it so that it becomes affordable and that every home should have a generator. The grid, the use of electric, that generator is more crucial than ever today.
Absolutely. That's 100% true. Because like you said, the demand on the grid has never been higher. So it's becoming even more unreliable. And our demand and our need for electrical usage has never been higher. So you got an overloaded grid, an unreliable grid, plus our reliance on electricity. It's a necessity almost to have a generator.
Do you know that I've already come up with the solution to generators for all houses for years?
Unbelievable.
And nobody will listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Helfman.
It's not scented air filters. It's not flavored water. It's any of that stuff. Although they just came out with it, by the way. I don't know if you know that. They just came out with scented air filters
for your furnace.
Yeah. I had all the, remember, we were talking about for years. Okay, so here's the deal.
Okay.
You pay your electric bill every month, $200, $300. You sign up for a new program with DT that's not created yet, and they send you, as the contractor, out to the house, and you map out the generator. Here's the generator that will help you in your house, Mrs. Jones. This is the proper size, the proper da-da-da-da-da-da. And then the homeowner signs up, and then DTE pays for it, you and everything. And then the homeowner every month pays their electric bill, and there's an add-on for the generator cost. And it's one bill. So the $20,000 generator, $30,000 generator, DT is paying it. Now, if you sell the house, if you default or whatever, that's got to be legally handled. But it's just like giving power to the house. It's part of the DTE program. You're paying extra. So if your bill's $200,
would also have to include a situation where DTE would be
the service
a relationship with the Generac manufacturer or the generator manufacturers, whether it's Kohler, Cummins, Generac.
Yes, they would have to be like, Mrs. Jones, here's the 3 generators that we recommend. You can pick. You can get it however you want it. And then DTE has to have the exclusive, look, I'm going to take all your generators in Michigan because everyone will sign up for it.
Yeah.
Or they'll do a special DTE branded one that is, like
they start to manufacture their own.
Well, no. Goodman Air Conditioners makes, there's 3 manufacturers that make all the ACs for everybody, and they just put their name on it.
Yeah.
DTE, white labeled, can get their own version paid for.
Have Generac manufacture them, and they just slap the DTE logo.
And Generac would say, okay, 100,000 generators going into Michigan every year. Yeah. How many do you want? And I'll have a separate line of production. That's a great idea.
On top of that, since we are a Generac authorized dealer and installer, I went to their convention out in Colorado, and they have a program now where you basically lease a generator.
I love that.
So you sign up. You sign up with Generac, and they'll send out a contractor, like us, install it, and you pay them monthly on it. And then even after so many years, I think it's 10 years or something, they'll upgrade it for free.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that available?
It's almost like leasing a car. You have a monthly payment, and you just always pay your $200 a month for your generator. Is
that available?
Kind of like what you're saying with the DTE thing.
Yeah.
It's available. I don't know if it's available yet, but that was one of the ideas they were spitballing.
Well, it makes sense. Lease to own, because again, everything, roofing, siding, windows for your house, air conditioning, generators, the costs have become so unaffordable. It's not going to be easy to live.
And the generator costs aren't going down.
No.
I was looking back through some old estimates for generators, and even a couple of years ago, a 24,000 watt generator was under $6,000. Now it's almost $7,000.
Right.
And that's only 2 years.
That's the material. Years. Let me ask you: is there a reason why you choose Generac?
Yeah, they're the number one provider of generators, and so when you talk about sales and service, there's products and contractors to service them everywhere. You don't have to wait a month to get a part in. Everything's readily available. Their quality is second to none. So it's just top of the line all the way around. They have more generators on houses by far than any other generator producer.
Okay, but quality-wise, you're not putting them in and then a week later, hey, there's a vibration, it's rattling.
No.
Okay.
Back a long time ago, I'd say in the 90s and even maybe into the early 2000s, when I got into the electrical industry, Generac had a kind of a poor reputation of kind of crappy generators. And even generators weren't that popular then. Now, they've completely revamped their quality. They've dialed it in, and now they're the number one.
Because I used to think Kohler was the best, and then I've heard Kohler sold their division or something. And I'm not sure how the real facts, but their quality has come into question. But from what I've been hearing, and I did in the past have a Generac, they're the go-to play. They're the go-to brand to have. Mm-hmm. But again, what's the best generator?
The one that you have installed.
The one that's installed properly.
Yeah.
So if someone wants a generator and they give you a call, Josh, what's the process? Okay, I'll give you a scenario. Power's been out, and I've been every year, I'm going to get a generator. Never did it. Now, finally, this time I'm like, that's it. I'm getting a generator. Power's out. I call you. Power comes back on, but you have an appointment to come to my house.
That's exactly what happened to me yesterday. That exact scenario. Power was out in Birmingham in this area. One of my longtime clients called me, said she's ready to finally pull the trigger on a generator. So what I do is I go down and I check the electrical panel, make sure everything's good, if it's sized appropriately, seeing what kind of breaker she has with circuits, so I could get an idea in my head of what size generator would be appropriate for her house. And then I would go outside and look at this electrical service and the location of the gas meter, because you have to run a gas line to it. And a lot of times you've got the electrical on one side of your house and the gas on the other. Yeah. And then it comes into question of what side of the house should you put the generator on. Generally speaking, it's cheaper to run the electrical way across the house
than running
the gas line. The gas lines are really expensive, really hard to install. We've got a flexible cable that we can just fish through your basement or whatever and install it. It's much harder for a gas line.
Is there ever an issue with the gas meter and the gas delivery to the house? Now all of a sudden you have a generator that uses gas, that it's starving for gas, it's not sipping enough gas or sucking enough gas. Has that situation happened?
So with the gas, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to upgrade your gas meter because the draw of the generator for the natural gas it'll probably double your house's demand.
Got it.
So 9 times out of 10, you have to upgrade your gas meter through Consumers Energy or whoever the gas utility is. And that typically costs between $600 and $800. And sometimes it takes a while, to have the utility to come out and replace that. And that's just strictly between the homeowner and the utility company. A contractor would have nothing to do with that process.
Okay.
So...
But have you had a scenario where you've installed a generator and then all of a sudden it's something wrong because there's not enough gas?
No.
Oh, okay.
So what I do is there's people that want to get their generator installed right away and don't want to wait for their gas meter upgrade. That's possible, but you have to be careful of your usage inside your home during a power outage. So if the power goes out, now your generator is running. The more electrical you use, the more gas that thing sucks.
Oh.
So, and then, you got your furnace that can kick on. You got your electric dryer. You've got your electric water heater.
Is there a formula that you use, or is it DTE figures it out?
What will happen is consumers will call you, or you call consumers and tell them what you're doing with your generator. I give you the BTU of your generator. You tell that to Consumers Energy, and they say, okay, well, what gas appliances do you have? Your furnace, your stove, your dryer, your water heater, and then they'll calculate it on their little sheet and say, okay, well, you'll need to upgrade to this size meter.
Okay.
And then they work out a time to come out, the cost, blah, blah, blah.
But is it you?
But we can hook up the generator before your meter gets installed, but you have to balance your electrical usage during a power outage.
Will you do that for the homeowner?
I have done that.
I just curious because
I tell them that, look, if you start running your house like trying to have Thanksgiving dinner when the power's out before your gas meter gets installed, then you run the risk of that thing bogging down.
And then does it hurt the life of the generator too?
No, it'd be like your car sputtering.
What kind of maintenance is required on a generator?
Well, Generac says every 2 years have the oil changed and air filters and
every 2 years.
Yeah, I just was on their website yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah,
I do once a year, I would think.
I recommend to my clients twice a year. Okay. And we work with a company that does our maintenance for us, and they do like remote monitoring and all this. It's really cool. They have basically Generac has 2 divisions. They're install and dealer, and then their maintenance. And so we work with the company out in Milford that does our maintenance for us.
So once you're done, you hand it off to the maintenance company, and there's like a maintenance agreement. Yep. Now, technology with maintenance, is there new technology that allows that maintenance company to help out?
What they can do is they have this big online spreadsheet on their computer that has all of their generators on it.
And it talks to the generator.
And they communicate. So if there's an error on your generator that would prevent it from working in a power outage, they know immediately in real time, and they can troubleshoot. Sometimes they can reset it remotely, or they can just call you immediately and set up a service call to get that fixed so your generator's back online and will work.
Okay, so the maintenance company clearly can help maintain, diagnose remotely, and then if there's a problem,
sometimes remotely,
depending on the issue,
right?
Obviously, however, it's a good benefit for homeowners who have generators. Now,
absolutely, because not a lot of people go outside and check the status of their generator.
Right? Does a generator typically run once a week?
Well, when I do the setup and the startup on it, I'll program it, and I program it for every 2 weeks. It does its maintenance run, where it just automatically turns on and runs for 5 minutes or so and then shuts off just to keep everything.
And there's a battery in there, right?
Yeah.
So that'll charge the battery just in case.
It's always on a trickle charge through the transfer switch.
Oh, okay. So that helps too.
Yeah.
All right. So proper sizing of a generator. There are people who want everything. Air conditioning, the ovens, I want the whole house. And then there's people that it's just an emergency. I want to be able to have my refrigerator, not spoil food, and 1 or 2 items. Where do you fall in that?
It's pretty complicated because you have to know basically the wattage of everything.
Sure.
So if you want your central air conditioning on your generator, I'll have to go outside, look at the little sticker on that, and see how many amps that draws and how many watts it draws, and then with everything else in the house, calculate that and come up with the wattage of a generator to provide. If you have in your house a lot of gas appliances, then you don't have a high electrical need. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Because if your dryer's gas, if your stove is gas, if your water heater's gas, The only thing you're going to have that's a big electrical draw is your AC. And those are becoming so efficient now. You're seeing a lot of those on 20 amp or 30 amp breakers rather than back in the day, 40 and 50 amp breakers.
That's fantastic.
So you can get away with like a smaller generator if most of your appliances are gas.
So that's an important note. If you have gas appliances, you don't need as big of a generator.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people think bigger is better. You know, I fall into that category. I want the Mac Daddy one. Mm-hmm. I want the tank. I want the one that, you know, the neighbors can plug into me.
Yeah.
But it's all about if you have, so gas and electric, that makes a big difference. Now, how impactful is everyone has devices? I've got iPads, a couple of them. I got a laptop. I got a big screen TV everywhere. I've got a PS5. I've got iPhones everywhere.
Pizza oven.
It's gas.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, lucky me. But you have a household of 4 people, and each person has 2-3 devices. Is that impact a little bit?
Very minimal.
Minimal. It is
Very
minimal.
minimal.
Okay.
Very minimal.
But when you come out and do a service call, like I always tell people, look, if you're going to have an electrician out, maybe upgrade the lights, have them put some smart plugs in, meaning the plugs
With
that have
chargers,
USB,
yeah.
USB-C, the multiple chargers. It makes it so convenient.
Yep.
And then items like that help out. Now, is there any maintenance you need to do on electrical?
Well, maintenance for electrical, I mean, if you want to have an inspection, have a contractor out and do an inspection, we can come out and look through your entire electrical system and see what is aging, what needs to be replaced. On a day-to-day basis, not really, because...
It's not moving parts, that's
right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, if you have a plug that you constantly plug something in and out of, the prongs inside can get loose, and the plugs would want to kind of fall out when you're using it, stuff like that. But that's really nothing you can do to fix it yourself unless you feel like changing a plug and risk getting shocked, which I don't recommend.
No, I don't want to.
So as far as maintenance goes for a homeowner, no, there's really nothing.
You know, here's one of my pet peeves, and a lot of the homeowners know this. I go down and look into a service panel, and I open it up, and I see it's not marked correctly. Mm-hmm. And it's not, you know, what breaker does what. That bothers me to no end. Yeah. Why do electricians? It should be part of code.
It is now.
Oh, it is.
It didn't used to be.
Oh.
Like we used to be able to just write down when we would wire the house, and because when you do a new house, you have to write down what all the circuits are. For all the circuits that went and did like your lights and your plugs, we would just put general lighting. So you've got 10 breakers that say general lighting. What room is that? Who knows? General lighting. But now we have to say what bedroom it is, what hallway, what bathroom. All the other ones are specifically marked, like your kitchen plugs, your furnace, your sump pump, all that. But for your general plugs around your house, your living room, your bedrooms, and your lights, all we used to have to do is put general lighting, and people would be all upset because who knows what that means. Now we have to be more specific. And when we do a service change where we replace your electrical panel and it gets inspected, we have to do walk around the house and label them properly.
Okay, good.
And we still can't say
so if someone calls
general lighting. We have to be room specific.
Someone calls Voltron Power and says, I watched Adam Helfman's podcast, Hire It Done, and you know what? I went to my panel and I saw it was marked right. I need you to come out and do my panel, mark it all up. Okay. While you're there, can you bundle services to make it more efficient? Because it's not cheap to have you just come out because you have to have 2 guys, right?
Yeah. One guy's at the panel, and the other guy's walking through the house, checking everything.
Walkie-talkies or cell phone.
Well, sometimes when you're in the basement, you don't have a cell signal, so you can't be on your phone. And we do have walkie-talkies, actually, so we can do that, and especially on a larger home when you're such a distance away. But, yes, it's perfect to bundle a home and electrical inspection with a panel labeling because we're already there. We're already walking around the house, so we can do the inspection almost at the same time as the panel labeling process.
How hard is it when you're in the house or homeowners like, I have these old 1980s recessed cans. I want to upgrade the cans. And they call you and you come out there. I've seen it, the big box stores, that there's these recessed lights that sit on the ceiling and they just plug in like a light bulb. Or you can replace the cans. What do you recommend as a professional? What would you rather do? It
depends on the look you want. If you already have existing recessed lights that take the old halogen or incandescent bulbs that just suck juice like crazy and your electrical bill is sky high.
Right.
You can take those out and put in the retrofit LED trim, they call them, and they just kind of screw into the socket and snap into place.
Sure.
They do have a little baffle. They are kind of up recessed an inch or so. And then they also have ones that are really slim and flat.
Correct.
That is more labor intensive because you don't screw into the existing can. You basically have to get the can out of there and then mount those in.
Cans are bigger than the opening.
Right, well, they're already there.
Okay.
If you're adding new recessed lights, I recommend the flat ones because you don't have.
But I have the old ones, and I want to put the flat ones.
You can. I'm just saying it's more labor intensive. They don't have the flat ones that I've ever seen that can just snap right into an existing can. That should be something that can come out because there's really no reason to not have that.
Okay.
But I haven't seen them in the market. The ones that would snap into your old can, they have the little.
But I have a recess. I have a vaulted ceiling, and I don't think the cans were sloped. The trims are. Yeah, they might be. I want to replace the trims, and I want to just put LED. And then there's 3 colors. There's like a bluish, a bright white, and almost yellowish, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think?
It depends. I mean,
you're smirking. Don't tell.
Because a lot of people don't like that brilliant white. It looks like a dentist's office, and they want it in their home more comfortable and soft.
And then I got dimmers. You got to make the dimmable ones because I've heard them make noise, humming, and it's all this is crazy.
It is. Everything has to be matched up now. And the LED trims, they have color selectors where you can go like a soft white, like the old incandescents. So it's almost like a yellowish white. And then you can ramp it up to like almost a bluish white where it's really industrial.
And that's a little switch on the side, I noticed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and then they have ones that you can do all the colors of the spectrum where you can have a little controller and do it for themes.
Are they expensive?
They're a lot more expensive than just the standard ones that change the color temperature from a soft white to a brilliant white. The color, the full spectrum color ones are more expensive. Yeah, nothing astronomical, but more expensive.
Okay. Do you charge by the hour? If someone calls you up and say, "I have 10 recessed lights, I need to replace,"
we would charge by the light, not by the hour.
Okay, so we charge $185, $300, whatever it is, per light. Count the lights while we're there. Mrs. Jones will take it. Whether it takes a day, 2 days, or 3 hours, it doesn't matter. This is the price.
Yeah, the longer it takes, the worse it is for us.
Okay, no, but it's okay. But you take your time. I will say this because you've done work with me in the past, and your guys are amazing. Yep. Like literally benchmark, which is good. Now,
and I love my crews.
They're great.
All my guys are great, and I do not take them for granted. They're wonderful, and we get compliments daily.
Good. That's nice to hear. Mm-hmm. I've seen the work, and I suffer from OCD, everyone, so I make sure that the wires are running the way I want. All my screws on are horizontal, vertical, whatever. They all have to match.
That's how I install my device plates. The slot in the screw is always vertical.
Right. I like them horizontal.
No, because the switch plate itself as a rectangle is vertical.
Correct.
So you want all that symmetry, that line. If you put those screws horizontal, the plate's vertical.
You might be right.
Why are you?
Now, what about the old switch, and then they have the paddle, like the Decora?
Yeah.
A lot of people just upgrade to that, right?
For a more sleek look, yeah.
Is it expensive to do that?
They're about twice the cost of the standard outlets and switches.
I have an outlet. I want to put the Decora outlet in. And I call you up to put one outlet in. It's $100.
I mean, for one thing,
it's hard to do.
I'd have to come up for a service call fee. Our standard service call fee is $150.
Right.
To get somebody to come out, you've got drive time
bundle.
involved.
So recommendation is bundle a lot of electrical for homeowners. If you can
get a list of things you want done, it'd be much more economical for a client.
A lot of people have the fluorescent lights, the 4-foot ones in their basement or whatever. Yeah. You guys can come in there and replace it with LED and reduce. Yeah. There's so many ways to save energy on electrical.
And it's funny you mentioned fluorescent because fluorescent lights were the first energy efficient bulb.
Correct.
When you're getting away from the incandescents and halogens, and now even they aren't as efficient as the LED.
Right. Now, are there different qualities of LED lights?
I mean, if you go and sometimes if you get some cheap ones made in China, they're gonna not last. It's all about the components. Like inside the bulb, that they have the little circuit boards,
transistors and all that.
If that's crap, then
capacitors.
they're gonna the capacitors and whatever, they're gonna fail much sooner than a high quality.
When the LED
the diodes themselves are fine usually.
When they came out, the LED bulbs originally, it was the lifetime bulb, but then greed overcame, and everyone says, why should we? Let's just make it so it lasts 5 years because they're going to have to buy them. Why are we going to put ourselves out of business? You know what I'm saying? I can see why that happened, but I mean, there's high end cars and there's low end cars. There should be high end bulbs and low end bulbs. You should be able to have that choice, but there's no ratings as quality of bulbs.
Well, sure, you can. I mean,
does GE still make bulbs?
Yeah,
Philips, GE.
They make LED trims and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you, I mean, you can go to Amazon and look up LED recessed lights, and you're going to get some brand name you can't even pronounce. It's just a bunch of letters scrambled up. You don't even know what that is, and you're going to get something that's going to last you maybe a week.
I've seen that happen. So let me ask, moving forward, I've seen devices that you plug into your plug, or you put it on your panel, and something with the frequency, it modulates and it saves energy. Snake oil?
I think you would be doing yourself a favor if you did your own research on that. I think there are situations when you can have like a power cleaner, and it kind of it would
like a filter almost.
Yeah, you use appliances and they have their different usages.
Dirty power, I've heard.
Right,
yeah.
They could clean that up and keep it more stable. I don't know if
does that save them money.
It's possible. I don't know if it'd be worth the cost of the investment, though.
Okay.
If you save $10 in a year, but it costs you $1,000 to install, then it's obviously not worth it.
Now, we've all heard the term phantom power. What that means is when things are plugged in, but they're off, they're still drawing electricity.
Well, yeah. You've got, I mean, even on your
iPads, the phones,
on your TV, when it's shut off, you got that little red light going. I mean,
right. It's always drawing power.
There's always
microwaves, everything.
Mm-hmm.
You have enough devices plugged in all the time. Could it be that it costs a little bit of money?
A little bit. I mean, a little bit.
Okay.
That is like a drop of water in the ocean. It's nothing.
But it adds up over time.
To a little bit more than nothing, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about that one bit. No
okay,
way.
so there it is. Don't worry. Mm-mm. Don't worry about it. Keep them all plugged in and be fine.
Again, we're talking about the big draws on an unreliable grid as being car chargers. First and foremost, without a doubt, unequivocally, the car chargers are just sucking on that system, and it's already an old, unreliable system.
So if someone gets a car charger, do you recommend also getting a generator? Just to help offset sometimes if they need to charge your car?
Okay, well, that brings up an interesting point. You have an 80 amp car charger that's on a 100 amp breaker. Do you know how big of a generator you're going to need?
I have no idea.
Well, a 24,000 watt generator, which is the most common one we install, on natural gas pulls about 97 amps. Will generate 97 amps. Not even enough to cover that car charger. Wow. That's how powerful those car chargers are and how much energy they use. So you'd have your generator just to charge your car. Okay.
So that's very expensive, sounds to me. All right. Well, but
again, they have car chargers that we run on a 40 amp circuit, a 50 amp circuit, a 60 amp circuit.
Okay. So you have choices, but if someone doesn't know what they need, they can call you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a numbers game.
Okay.
And you just have to have somebody like me who knows the numbers and can crunch the numbers for you to tell you how to balance a generator and a car charger and be able to calculate your load on your other appliances in your house.
Okay, let's transition over to electrical fires. Recently, a friend of mine's house had a fire, and it emanated out of a plug.
Very common.
What causes the plug? Is it overheating? What melts? Where is the fire? What sparks it? What's combustible?
A couple things can lead to that. First of all, the most common I see is in the back of a plug, you have these little holes. You can, when you're installing a plug, you can take your wire and strip the little insulation off to expose the copper. And if you poke it into that hole, all it is just using the friction of a little metal tab in there.
Sure.
Using the force of the spring kind of to hold the wire in place. Well, if that gets loose, then you're arcing. Then that gets really hot. Okay. And especially if you're using appliances like a vacuum cleaner, pulling that current through that it's loose, that wire's going to start to melt. I see that all the time. Does it always generate a fire? No, but that's how they start.
What about, I've seen steel wire and copper wire.
Steel? You mean aluminum?
Aluminum, excuse me.
We're not allowed to use aluminum wire in a home for like plugs and switches and lights. You can use aluminum wire to run like your range circuit, your air conditioner circuit, your main service feed. All of your 220s, you can use aluminum wire for that, but you can't use it inside your walls for your normal plugs and switches.
Wasn't sure.
And they have homes and condos that were built, I think they were in like the 70s, where it was still rare, but I've seen them where the house was wired in aluminum wire. Now, because aluminum is not quite as good of a conductor as copper, the wire gauge is bigger. They have plugs and switches you can buy that are rated for aluminum wire.
Oh, got it.
So you can still get material, so you don't have to rewire your whole house if it's wired in aluminum. You can
Someone
still get
has
components.
a plug receptacle that's hot. Should they call you?
Yeah.
Because you can replace it and know, and you can see it's like almost melted in the back.
And
anyways.
then there's the other thing, you know, to go back to the fire with the plug, a plug that gets used a lot. Inside the plug where you plug in, it's just two metal plates.
Right.
And the prongs of your plug just wedge between those plates. When you're in and out of that plug so many times, those get separated.
Right.
And
I have
now
when they
it's
fall
loose.
out.
And if you go into that and leave something plugged in and they're loose, that can cause that arcing too and cause fires.
Oh boy. So you should do a safety check.
Right. But that's not something a homeowner is going to be able to do.
No, they don't know.
So if you know, usually it's in older homes. You'd want to say, hey, let's do this safety check, this maintenance check, and we can come out and check plug switches, your service. And one of the things is that most people don't do, because they just don't know, is to check your outside electrical service. All the old homes were built with overhead electrical services.
Right, with a riser coming out of the roof, yeah.
And it's not always metal. When it's metal, it lasts much longer. If you just have that cable up strapped to the side of your house, that'll deteriorate in 15 years.
Right.
You know, it's exposed to the sun, the
and
cold,
don't
the hot.
touch it.
Right, but it can start to crack and peel, and now your wires are exposed. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of homes around Metro Detroit that have deteriorated services that desperately need a service upgrade. And nobody knows because they just come home from work, go in. They never walk around the house and look at their electrical service and say, this looks shoddy. Let's call someone. But the outside electrical service is a very under-checked component that needs to be serviced a lot.
Let me ask you, let's talk about the electrical trades. Mm-hmm. Has it been difficult for you to find good, hardworking people?
Well, again, my crew is fantastic, and I've had them all for years. And I guess if we were to grow even more, we're pretty maxed out right now.
Right.
Like and we are running hot and heavy right now. If it continues like this, I'm going to have to hire more, and it may be difficult to find quality people.
Yeah. So, Josh, you got a great team.
Yes.
Business is booming.
It is.
Your reputation is 5-star.
That's right.
Where do you see the electrical residential industry for electricians in 5 years?
Well, with the popularity of generators and the popularity of EVs, that's going to be a lot of the industry's focus. Now, every house is aging, so you're going to have maintenance. You're going to have upkeep for the electrical system. Not everybody has upgraded everything to LED bulbs yet, so you're still going to have that. You're still going to have service calls for, oh, crap, my lights don't work. A lot of it's going to be the same, but as I mentioned earlier about the outside overhead electrical services aging and becoming unreliable, those are going to continue to need to be replaced. And then the focus again on generators and EVs.
Where do you see Voltron Power in 5 years?
In 5 years, we're going to have probably 2 more crews and just continue what we're doing with
Provide
with
5-star customer service.
Absolutely. 5-star customer service, quality work, and focusing on where the industry goes as far as EVs and generators.
Have you ever heard of wireless power?
Wireless power? I know Tesla was working on something like that.
I think we're going to have that in 5 years.
I don't mean Tesla, the company. Nikola Tesla from the scientist.
I love him. He's a modern.
That's a whole other topic of how he got sabotaged, but whatever.
DC and AC, I agree. We'll do a conversation, you and I, about that. I love that.
That's cool.
All right. Well, Josh, again, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Your
Anytime,
information is benchmark, the best. We love it. If you're a homeowner who wants the best electrician to come to your house and take care of you, generator, EV chargers, just general maintenance, go see Josh at Voltron Power.
That's right.
Link in the comments for his website and everything, or just visit hiredone.com. He's your guy. Thanks for tuning in today.
I get it, that's for us. What you got?